I never thought I'd be the guy telling a story like this, but here I am. My name, Jack, and I've been with my wife, Emily, for about 3 years now. We got engaged about a year ago, and honestly, I thought I knew everything about her. She's smart, beautiful, confident, sometimes a total bitch, but I loved that about her. She always had a sharp tongue, quick wit, and a way of making you feel like she was the smartest person in the room. At first, everything seemed perfect. We were planning our wedding, talking about the future, and I felt like I'd finally found the one person I could trust with everything. But I started noticing little things. She'd be on her phone more than usual, hiding her screen when I'd walk into the room, or lying about where she was going when I asked. At first, I brushed it off as her being secretive or maybe just busy. She'd call me paranoid whenever I brought it up, saying I was just overthinking or jealous. That should have been a warning sign, I guess, but I was blinded by love or maybe just a little naive. Still, I trusted her. I wanted to believe she'd never do anything to hurt me. Things got worse when I started noticing her getting strange late-night texts. She'd be quick to hide her phone or say she was talking to her sister or a coworker, but I knew her enough to tell when she was lying. One night, she left her phone on the nightstand while she was out of the room. I couldn't help myself. I picked it up when she was in the shower, just curious. I saw the messages. My stomach dropped. They weren't just friendly chats. They were flirty, explicit even. She was sexting someone, some guy I didn't recognize, talking about sex, plans to meet up, all kinds of intimate details. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. That moment hit me hard. I felt this mix of anger, betrayal, and confusion. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly? We had plans, a future, and I always thought she was honest with me. Turns out she'd been cheating on me during our engagement, and I never saw it coming. I was furious, but I also felt crushed. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept staring at her phone, trying to process what I'd discovered. It was like my entire world had fallen apart in a single second. I didn't even confront her yet. I just sat there, staring at the screen, wishing I could wake up from this nightmare. The next morning, I knew I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. I had to face her. I didn't sleep at all. My mind was racing, trying to come up with what to say, what to do. When Emily woke up, I could see the shift immediately. She was still sleepy, a little annoyed that I seemed so tense, but then she saw my face, serious, cold. That's when she knew I knew. She tried to play it off, acting like she had no idea what I was talking about. That was classic Emily. Her mouth kept moving, throwing out lies easily, saying it was just innocent, just friends, or some bullshit excuse about how she was stressed and needed someone to talk to. She looked at me like I was an idiot for believing her. I wasn't buying it. I told her I saw the messages, and her face just went blank for a second. Then she started to get defensive, barking back that I was overreacting, that I had no proof she was cheating, that I was crazy for jumping to conclusions. She said she loved me and that I was just insecure. Yeah, right. I'd never felt so stupid in my life, like I'd been played for a fool. The woman I wanted to marry, the woman I thought I knew, was lying straight to my face. I asked her directly, "Did you sleep with him?" She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and said it was all a mistake, that they just flirted and she'd never cheat on me, especially not during our engagement. But I wasn't stupid. I saw the pattern. The late-night messages, her changing behavior, her lying about where she was going. I told her that I wasn't going to just brush this off anymore. I said I needed the truth, no matter how bad it was. That's when she got really bitchy, started calling me paranoid, insecure, and that I was overreacting because I was jealous. She said, "If you're going to be like this, maybe you don't deserve me." That hit me hard. It was like she was trying to gaslight me, make me feel like I was the one at fault for catching her. I could see she was already planning her defenses, trying to spin it so she looked innocent, like I was the one who was crazy for suspecting her. I felt my blood boiling. I couldn't believe I was even having this conversation. I had trusted her with everything, my future, my heart, and she was out there betraying me, lying through her teeth. I wanted to scream, to yell, to break something. But I kept my voice steady and told her it was over, that I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I told her I deserved honesty, and if she wasn't willing to give it, then she could leave my life. That was the end of our conversation, but honestly, I knew the worst was yet to come. I could feel it in my bones that this wasn't just a one-time thing. It was a deeper betrayal, and I was going to have to figure out what to do with all this pain. After that confrontation, everything changed. I felt empty, like someone had ripped my chest open and taken out all the trust I once had in her. I couldn't look at her without feeling a surge of anger mixed with heartbreak. She kept insisting she loved me, that it was just a mistake, a moment of weakness, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that she'd never do it again. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I'd seen enough, heard enough to know she was lying. Emily was good at lying, too good. She'd always been bitchy, sharp-tongued, and manipulative when she needed to be. This wasn't her first time twisting the truth, and I realized she could probably keep lying until she thought she'd get away with it. I knew I had to do something, but I was frozen. My mind kept cycling through all the possible ways this could blow up in my face. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly pretty damn stupid. How did I miss all the signs? How could I have trusted her so blindly? I wanted to scream at her, to shake her and demand answers. But instead, I just sat there, watching her pack a bag, her face a mask of fake innocence. She kept trying to convince me she loved me, that she'd never do it again, but I could see through her. The way she looked at me, like I was a problem she didn't want anymore, made my chest tighten. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head, the late-night texts, her excuses, her fake tears. I was furious at her, but I was also furious at myself for not seeing it sooner. How could I be so blind? I'd always thought she was the one, the perfect girl for me, but now I saw her for what she really was. Someone who lied, manipulated, and used my trust against me. I had so many questions, so many accusations, but I didn't even know where to start. All I knew was I couldn't keep pretending. I had to decide what the hell I was going to do next. That's when I started plotting. I knew I couldn't just walk away quietly. I wanted her to feel what I was feeling, betrayed, humiliated, like she'd taken everything from me and then some. The thought of her with my best friend, Mark, tore me apart. Mark was supposed to be my brother, someone I trusted with everything. And he'd been screwing my fiancée behind my back. All along. It was a slap in the face I wasn't ready for. I never thought my best friend would turn into my biggest enemy, but there he was, deep in her lies, probably laughing at me behind my back. That realization stung worse than anything else. I decided I'd expose her, but not just that. I wanted to make her regret ever crossing me. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some pushover, that I could fight back with everything I had. But I also knew I had to keep my head clear. Revenge was tempting, but I didn't want to make things worse. I just wanted her to know I wasn't a fool. I started gathering evidence, planning how to confront her, how to make her feel the pain she'd given me. I wasn't sure what I'd do if she begged or lied her way out again, but I knew I wouldn't be the one to come crawling back. Not anymore. That night I promised myself that she'd never do this to me again, and that if I had to cut her out of my life for good, I would. I was done being the victim. The weeks that followed were a blur of anger, betrayal, and a strange sense of clarity. I threw myself into figuring out my next move, trying to process everything I'd uncovered. I started to dig into her phone more, looking for anything else that might tell me the full story. Every message, every call, every little detail that might give me leverage or at least help me understand what she was really up to. The more I looked, the more I realized she wasn't just messing around with Mark. She was a master manipulator, lying and deceiving everyone around her. I found texts where she was planning secret meetups, flirty messages that she'd cleverly hidden from me. And worst of all, I discovered that she'd been lying about being faithful for months. She lied about her whereabouts, her feelings, everything. One day, I finally decided I'd had enough. I couldn't keep pretending that this was just some innocent mistake or that she'd change. I knew I'd have to confront her head-on. I set a date, told her I wanted to talk, and prepared myself for the worst. When she came over that evening, I could see the bitchy smirk on her face, like she thought she was still in control, that she'd outsmarted me, but I was done playing nice. I confronted her right then and there with everything I'd found. I laid it all out, the texts, the calls, the lies. I told her I knew about Mark, about her sneaking around, about the sexting. Her reaction was honestly worse than I expected. She looked at me with that same bitchy smirk, then started to deny everything, as if I was just imagining it all. She said she loved me, that it was just sex, that she was confused. She cried a little, but I could see she was just acting. That was the thing about Emily. She's one of those people who can lie with a straight face, make you feel like you're crazy. She kept insisting she was innocent, that it was all a mistake, that I was overreacting because I was insecure. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I told her I wasn't interested in her excuses. I was done. Done with her lies, her manipulations. I told her she had one last chance to come clean and tell me the truth, or I was walking away for good. And that's when she finally cracked. Her bitchy facade crumbled and she started to scream at me, calling me paranoid, insecure, jealous. A bunch of classic gaslighting tactics. She swore her innocence, saying she'd never do something so disgusting. But I wasn't listening anymore. I'd already seen enough. I told her to get out, that I never wanted to see her face again, that I was done being the fool she used and discarded. I felt a strange mix of relief and rage. Relief that I finally knew the truth, rage that she'd hurt me so badly, and anger at myself for trusting her for so long. That night, I packed her things myself and told her she was not welcome at my place anymore. I didn't care what she said or how many tears she cried. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. I felt like I'd finally taken control of my life, even if it hurt like hell. I knew I'd be okay, but the pain of betrayal still lingered. It's funny how someone you loved can turn into your worst enemy overnight. The trust I once had is shattered, and now I'm just trying to figure out how to move forward without looking back. After she left, I was left sitting in my apartment, feeling like I'd been hit by a freight train. The silence was deafening. All I could think about was how I'd let someone so bitchy and manipulative get so close to me, how I'd been blind to the signs for so long. The betrayal cut deep, but what hurt even more was realizing how much I had trusted her, how stupid I'd been to believe her lies. I started to feel hollow, like a part of me had died inside. Yet amidst that pain, a strange sense of clarity began to emerge. I realized I needed to get my life back on track, to stop letting her control my emotions. I promised myself I would not let her win by dragging me into this mess. Over the next few days, I threw myself into fixing what I could of my broken heart. I reached out to my closest friends, people I could trust, and told them everything. They were furious for me, especially about Mark. I knew the betrayal with him was the hardest to swallow. I never imagined my best friend, the guy I considered my brother, would be such a part of her lies. It tore me apart to think about how they'd been sneaking around, so much so that I blocked him on social media and cut ties entirely. I didn't want to see his face, didn't want to hear from him. The trust was gone, and I knew I had to rebuild myself before I could even think about trusting anyone again. I also started to reflect on how I got here. Honestly, I hated myself for trusting her so blindly. The signs were there: late nights, secretive behavior, her quick temper whenever I questioned her actions. But I ignored them because I loved her. Or maybe because I didn't want to believe someone I cared about could do something so cruel. Now I see it clearly. Love isn't enough if someone's a liar and a cheat. I learned that the hard way. I also realized that I wasn't the only victim here. I had been played like a fool, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it without consequences. Revenge, I decided, wasn't about lashing out or doing something impulsive. It was about regaining control, making her understand she lost someone who truly cared, someone who trusted her with his whole heart and got nothing but lies in return. I started planning my next steps carefully. I knew exposing her on social media wasn't my style, but I wanted her to see that I wasn't stupid. She couldn't keep her lies hidden forever. I gathered everything I had, ready to confront her again if needed. But for now, I was going to focus on healing myself. It was time to move on, even if I didn't feel ready yet. The pain still lingered, but I knew I'd survive. I had to. In the end, I realized something I hadn't fully grasped before. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. Emily's lies and betrayal left a scar that I knew would take a long time to heal. But what I gained from this mess was clarity about who I am, what I deserve, and how to recognize the red flags early on. I don't hate her, not anymore. I just see her for who she really is. A manipulative, selfish woman who thought she could get away with lying to the very guy who loved her unconditionally. That realization stings, but it also frees me from the illusion I'd been living in. I've learned to value myself more. I've learned that I don't need someone who manipulates and betrays me, that I deserve honesty and respect. Moving forward, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life. I've started seeing a therapist, and I'm slowly learning to trust again, but on my terms. I know I'll probably never fully forget what happened, but I refuse to let it define me. That betrayal was a harsh lesson, one I hope no one else has to go through, but it's made me stronger. Looking back, I wish I'd seen the warning signs earlier. Maybe I was blinded by love, or maybe just too eager to believe she was who she said she was. Either way, I'm glad I found out before it was too late. I don't regret standing up for myself and cutting her out, even if it hurt like hell at the time. The truth set me free, and now I'm finally moving on. I want anyone reading this to know, don't ignore the signs. Listen to your gut. Trust is earned, not given blindly. And if someone betrays you like this, don't waste your time trying to fix what's already broken. Walk away, learn from it, and come out stronger on the other side.